To order. My name is John Souza. I serve as chair. I'd just like to introduce some of the members for those that may be watching. Dennis King from the school committee, David Braslow from the library trustees, Darlene Lucia, town accountant, Pat Maloney is our select board liaison. He's with us this evening. We also have a member that has applied to be a member, and he's here to observe us tonight. I just want to introduce Bart Wiesler. He's joining us tonight to observe and learn about the process, so thanks to him for coming. One of our mission under the charter is to help assist the town manager in the development of a 5-year capital improvement program, and also to assist the town manager in the development of the annual capital budget, which eventually will be brought before town meeting. We have a number of department heads here this evening, and first on the agenda, we'll go through in this order. We have the cemetery department, fire, public works, and municipal facilities. So first, I'd like to hear from our cemetery superintendent, David Boyle. David's project is number 18, if you're following along on your project detail sheets. Good evening, David.
Good evening, everybody. When you're ready, everybody's ready?
Yes.
Okay. So this capital improvement is for the replacement of the current backhoe. The current backhoe is a 2008 John Deere that's currently in service. And basically, so at time of replacement, it'll end up being about 18, 19 years old at that point. It served us well, but it's basically come to the point where we're spending a lot of money in maintenance, repairs, and as far as basically what we do with it, you can kind of see from the description. Installation of leaf box. We have a what they call a sweepster, which goes in the front end of it. You take the bucket off, and we're able to sweep all the 6 cemeteries. So the next backhoe will have the same exact option, so we can continue to use that. It does snow plowing. Obviously, it does all the interment work as far as full burials go, and also moving wet leaves and so forth like that, like what we're doing right now. As you look at the pricing here, I just talked to one of the vendors, and the price there, you see the $159 is currently, that's kind of the current price right now. He projected an increase to $165 by the time fiscal year 27 comes. And also, as far as paying for the backhoe, we'll be splitting the cost with the town. So it'll be 50% town, 50% cemetery, and that will be repaid within the first 5 years. We'll repay half the sum of the cost of the backhoe.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. That's great.
And there will be a trade-in value. I just can't give you that value today because I did kind of press them on that, but it changes daily. So, but there will be a trade-in value there. I can only go back to 2008 and tell you back then. I'm going to say it was about either 19,000, 22,000. It was in that ballpark of a trade-in from back then, and that was in '91. We were trading in at that point. So.
Now that gives us kind of a ballpark estimate.
Yeah. And actually, since the past 5 years, ironically, they keep saying the cremation rate's going up and up, and we're actually the other way, where there's been a lot more full interments rather than cremation interments. It's gone from, at one point, 23, I think, we were 52% cremation, and now we've flipped that. We're back to about 60-40 currently. So.
Do any of the members have questions for David at all?
Yeah, so we would be replacing this piece of equipment with like-kind equipment, basically
Yes.
the same kind of rig?
Basically the same.
Okay, and then if we did get roughly 20,000 in trade, and John, maybe you can answer this, does that, so if we appropriate 159 or 165 and we get a $20,000 trade in, how does that work as far as,
Basically, it depends on the amount that we borrow. If we borrowed the full amount, then the trade-in value would be, it would basically turn up as recaptured funds in later years.
go back to general
Yeah,
fund?
and you go back to the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
And is the same true for the share that the cemetery department is gonna?
Yeah,
come up with?
what we've done in the past is we would usually, I would just do an internal memo, or David would do, and I would give him the cost, cost to borrow over 5 years, and then he would make an annual payment from perpetual care to reimburse the general fund for 50%.
I got one other thing,
Oh,
John.
sure.
Just another quick question. So this would just be for the backhoe itself, not for any of the,
Yes, like everything else we can
The leaf
continue
box
to
and all
use,
that
yeah.
stuff would
I
be-
mean, basically what we'll do is we'll get the same backhoe. You'll have the wet front end, so the bucket comes off. We can use the bucket, we can use the sweepster. I also have it set up for a plow, too. Plow.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. I did want to mention before we go on the agenda that this meeting is being video recorded for broadcast at a later date by Chelmsford Telemedia. And then next on our agenda, our Fire Chief, Gary Ryan, is with us this evening. The fire department's projects are numbered 6 and 7 on your project detail. Good evening,
Good
Gary.
evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. I hope everybody's well. So after a review of our operational needs, I am proposing the replacement of 2 staff vehicles. So our internal plan is to replace our staff vehicles at 10 years, but you'll see for the first one that we've gone a little bit beyond that. So the first one for your consideration is the 2013 Ford Fusion. This is actually the department's first hybrid vehicle. These used to be my old vehicle, so. Currently running into mechanical issues with this vehicle. We are looking at a hybrid battery replacement. If anybody knows about that, it's very expensive. This vehicle sits very low to the ground, and it's got a lot of body rot underneath that. So it's currently it's 12 years old, but if we get approval tonight, approval at April town meeting, the vehicle will most likely be 14. I say that because what we're seeing, both police and fire department, DPW, even for staff vehicles, is that by the time we place an order, have it delivered, have the radios and lighting installed, and have the vehicles marked, you're looking at several months to a year. Right now, we are still currently waiting for our fire command vehicle to be placed into service, and we placed that order shortly after approval at town meeting. The town manager's been very supportive. Usually he will allow us to place the order. The vendors will place the order, obviously with the expectation that we can't pay them because we have to wait till July 1st. But even with that said, we're still waiting for our command vehicle to be placed into service. So with the Ford Fusion, this vehicle, it serves many roles in the department. It serves as a backup command vehicle. So the command vehicle is the vehicle that the captains take out on the call. So if that vehicle is out for repair, maintenance, this is a backup vehicle. So it actually operates as a frontline vehicle. It'll back up a staff vehicle. So if my vehicle is out for repair or maintenance, I will use this vehicle. It's used by recruits to attend the Mass Fire Academy. And currently it's being used by our fire investigation unit. So it's almost acts as a pool vehicle, but it gets a lot of use. And I'll take any questions you may have on that.
So, Chief Ryan, so it would remain a pool vehicle? It wouldn't be assigned to anybody?
Right now, it's being used by a fire investigation, but with the expectation, it's pretty much a pool vehicle. It is used where needed.
But the new vehicle would be?
Oh,
a pool vehicle?
yes, the new vehicle will be assigned to probably one of us, and we pass our vehicles down.
Okay.
And the $90,150 cost estimate includes not only the vehicle, but all of the necessary
Yes, for the
outfitting involved.
$90,150, that is the vehicle, the radios, the emergency lighting, and so that is the pricing that we got. So it's subject to change, as we know with the market. So Next, okay. So the second vehicle for your consideration is a 2017 Ford Explorer. It says 2017. However, we took possession, put that in service back in 2016. We're looking to replace that vehicle at a price of $95,400. Currently, this is in the fire prevention, serves as Fire 4. And again, this vehicle will most likely be 11 years old by the time a replacement vehicle becomes available, going through that process I mentioned earlier. This vehicle that you see was involved in a front-end vehicle accident last year. We did go through insurance, had it repaired. However, we are still experiencing issues with this vehicle since that accident. And this vehicle, or the replacement vehicle, I should say, will be a hybrid vehicle. This one is not currently a hybrid. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
What are you gonna do with the older vehicles? Are you gonna auction these off, or what are you doing with the older vehicles?
So the Ford Fusion, we will most likely go through the municipal bid process.
Yep.
I don't anticipate getting a lot. If we do, it probably, honestly, with the price of portable radios, I know the police just got a grant, it'll probably pay for the cost of one of those. This vehicle, there is a need in town. I think the building inspector is Jose Negron. So this vehicle, I think,
Might just pass through the department.
yeah, with some work, I think it could probably serve his needs. So that's the thought process.
On the accident, it says a recurring mechanical problem. What are some of, is it engine problems or is it?
Leaks,
suspension?
transmission, noise complaints because of the steering column, leaks. So, no.
Would there be any effort at all to make any repairs before passing on to another town entity?
I can shift the burden. No, we will do the right thing. No, because we have been in that place where we've gotten vehicles from the police department. So certainly, yes, we will do our best to bring that up. We don't want to pass something on that's going to be an issue for somebody else.
Excellent.
So
Thank
we
you.
would, yes, we would do that.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you.
To you. So next on the agenda, we have our Public Works Director, Christine Clancy, and she's going to present, there are Public Works projects numbered 8 to 17, and then municipal facilities, which are numbered 19 to 21. Good evening, Director Clancy.
Good evening. All right, so I just want to make sure, we are going to start with number 8, correct?
Yes.
All right, so number 8, this is an annual request we have for our sidewalk program. So annually, we do, with our paving program, we have 3 miles of paving, but also with our sidewalk master plan that we completed a few years ago, we have inventory of all of our sidewalks in town. We have 46.5 miles of sidewalk, and also every ramp is identified. So as you can see, the ramp in this picture is not compliant in terms of does not meet the ADA accessibility requirements. We have 920 ramps throughout town. That's from the assessment we are going through this winter and updating it because annually we do try to replace at least 25, sometime over 50 ramps as part of a sidewalk program in our paving program. So for the request this year and looking at the next few years, and historically it has been between about 350 to 375, and that's necessary to replace, continue with our ramp replacement so that we can upgrade ramps. Some ramps are just not ADA compliant, some ramps are not of the right material, which has to be concrete with the detectable warning panel that you see in the picture here. And also, we also look to use these funds to help build out the network if needed. For looking at next year, what we're doing is we're looking to probably replace some sidewalks. And so we right now are putting together the paving plan for next year. So if there's any existing sidewalks in that area, we would be upgrading sidewalks in that area. Also looking at an area that's Brook Street, Country Club Drive, Montcastle Drive, Toll Cross Road. Those all have sidewalk segments that could be upgraded. So that's potentially going towards that as well. We're probably targeting about 50 ramps next year based on, I guess there's not in previous years there was a more direct correlation between the paving program and sidewalk needs. This upcoming year, the paving list, I guess, has less sidewalks. We're doing some larger projects that we'll talk about in some of the upcoming requests. So yeah, this is an annual request, and it's really necessary to continue upgrading our infrastructure. Any questions? Thank you. So the next request and the annual request that is made is necessary, our roadway paving program. So historically, going back just the past few years, we've really increased the amount of paving of miles that we're doing, and that's necessary to maintain or improve our rating of roads. And so we have every single roadway, similar to our sidewalks, that are reviewed, evaluated, assessed, and we know we have a whole database that says this is the next, streets we should be paving. Also with that, the numbering system is we want to try to target a road before it gets to a worsened condition. So there's, micro sealing, which is a way more preventative maintenance. Then you get into the mill and overlay, where you're taking off that top a couple of inches of asphalt and restoring the pavement. Below that, you have pavement reclamation, which is the more extensive repair. So we're targeting 8 to 10 miles a year of of roadway replacement or upgrades, whether it be mill and overlay, micro sealing, or rehabilitation. This request is $425,000 because this is supplementing the Chapter 90 funds, not Chapter 90 funds. So now we are receiving $1.7 million in Chapter 90 funds annually, but we need more funds to really target the 8 to 10 miles. $3 million is the estimate. We've been fortunate to also have some free cash allocated. So with free cash, as long as that's available with the Chapter 90 and then this funds, we should be able to target the 8 to 10 miles. And we do have a tentative list that we presented at a town meeting recently, but we'll publish our paving list for probably by February. We publish it. Any questions on the roadway?
I don't have my numbers handy from last year. How does this number compare, the 425? Is that about the same?
I believe it's the same. So we've slightly increased. If you go back a few years, sometimes it's like 375, 400, so it's very close. We've started to, because everything's, the cost of asphalt, the cost of construction. So we've just recently increased it, I think, from 400, and I think it might have been, so this might be 425. I want to say last year might have been 400. If it wasn't 400, it was 425.
Thanks.
All right. So now moving on to some of the vehicle requests within our DPW. So the first is the Highway Division. This is a 2007 heavy-duty six-wheel sander, and we're proposing to replace it with a sander and dump body and a plow. This vehicle has approximately 45,000 miles on it. I guess the miles it's hard to say, in terms of age of vehicle, but really what we look, if you look at our vehicles, when you look at them from far away, they look like in great shape. We take great care of our vehicles. We go through, we sandblast them, we paint them. But then when you really start to look at it, there's a lot of deterioration to the frame of it, and that's where it's harder to make repairs. And so the body and the frame is starting to deteriorate to a point that we really can't continue to make repairs. We have great mechanics that can make these repairs, but when we get to the body of the vehicle and the frame and the structure, that's where it's harder to extend the life of these vehicles. And that's really, I guess, the theme you'll see in a lot of these highway requests is that the body is deteriorating and it's really, we cannot replace it. We do also, when we note these requests, is that as we continue with as the deterioration continues, there'll be a time where we probably can't get an inspection. So it really is, we wait almost towards the end. Also, and I think it was mentioned earlier, is the availability of these vehicles sometimes can take 18 months or even longer. So likely this wouldn't be put into service until, if the request is in April when we place the order, it probably wouldn't be next winter, it would be for the following winter. And so at that point, that vehicle is 20 years old. And this is with this sander operation, this is necessary for our snow and ice. I mean, it's the primary function, but also with the dump body, it could have other functions as well.
And in case the question comes up, is the sander unit possible to use on another truck, or would you be looking to just either trade or sell this as surplus, the whole unit?
I guess I haven't looked at the pieces of it. We probably would surplus it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of deterioration in, like with the salting is this, the salt itself. So we typically, when we get to a point, we wouldn't, if anything, I guess we'd have to look at that further. But the value of that, I think we probably would sell it through municipal bid. This next request, and this is really of all of our highway truck requests, this is probably our highest request. This is a 2010 heavy-duty truck, 10-wheel with sander body and dump body. So similar to the last one, but this is a 10-wheel. And when we replace it, whether it be sander body, dump body, and a wing plow, just so it can plow larger area when it plows. This vehicle is really critical to the town's snow plowing program. And given the potential lead time, you're not looking to have this vehicle probably into 2027, 2028 winter, which would be, so we're looking at forecasting out really a couple of years. As far as, so this has required more maintenance than typical. The body is rusting, and at this, we're getting to a point where we're not able to make many more repairs to this equipment or the body of this vehicle. This was a deferred request from last year as well.
So the same thing with this surplus?
I mean, right now, we talked about this, is right now, we could probably, like, if we got it for this winter, we'd probably pass it on, but knowing in 2 years, we're probably not gonna have much life in it. This next request, and last year we did know, so we have 4 sidewalk snow clearing machines, and these are really critical to the clearing of all of our sidewalks. Well, we'll say all 27 miles of our sidewalk we identify as priority sidewalks. These are sidewalks really along main corridors, arterial corridors, and in proximity to schools. So when we open a school, we're opening the roadways, but also all the sidewalks have to be accessible and cleared. So we use these machines. These machines are, and that's why when we design new sidewalks, we design them so that they're 5.5 feet, so that this machine can go down the sidewalk. This function, I know we looked into potentially other units that could have various functions, but I guess really right now on the market, we're replacing it with the sidewalk machine. So they don't serve much more purpose than snow and ice, but snow and ice operations is such a critical operation. The thing with these machines is if one's down, then it takes us a lot longer to clear the miles of sidewalk. And going back to 2025, one sidewalk machine was down and cost us $24,000 to repair. And when we're going down the sidewalk, we're picking up sometimes things that fall into the machine. It could be a rock or but something. These have more wear and tear than some of our other machines because it's going. Depending on how much snow has fallen, it could be hitting various obstructions, rocks, or it takes a beating each winter. This is a 2009 sidewalk machine. We did receive one last year, and this is the next one that really has no years left on it. This would probably be readily available so if it was in April, for the winter of 2026 to 2027. And this machine would we're currently trying to surplus the one we got from last year. And so it would be a municipal bid surplus.
Was this the machine that needed the $24,000 repair, or was it a different one?
So there's various machines. So I think the other machine was the $24,000. This one though also had significant, there's almost always a machine down during the storm. Something happens, whether it be it's just, and they're older. Also, I think the new machines, the one we just received, I think it's supposed to be a little more reliable.
How many of these do we own?
We have 4 total.
And did you say, so we currently have 4?
We have
One's
4,
new.
one's new, this is the next one. I think the others are right, I mean, I think they're probably gonna be in the next 4 or 5 years replaced. So they're all I think one might be a 2012, I don't have the years in front of me, but they're older. They're not, I guess it's been several years since we've purchased one, maybe even 10 years. I think the newest one might be a 2014 or 16. This next machine is a 2010 rack body 6-wheel truck, and we're proposing to replace it with a 1.5 ton rack body with a plow. This vehicle has 77,000 miles. This vehicle is really used all year round. It's used in the winter to plow, and it's used also, throughout the year in various construction sites or roadway projects, paving projects. This is at a point too where further deterioration might hinder the ability to receive an inspection sticker. Again, it's getting to the deterioration of the frame.
So the next, the new vehicle would be a 6-wheel, similar? piece
It's
of
essentially,
equipment?
actually, we're proposing a 1.5 ton, which is essentially a 550, yes.
And this would be surplus as well?
This next request falls under the engineering department. This is a 2012 Chevy Colorado truck and we're proposing to replace it with a 3/4 ton pickup. This truck is also proposed to have an 8-foot plow attached to it, so that we could, because the engineering department does assist with snow clearing in the winter. This truck has 89,000 miles on it. It does require additional repairs, and I guess really when you look at these vehicles, it's more again to the body deterioration. And what I was told by our lead mechanic is that I don't know if this will get an inspection sticker next year. So this might be the last year that it can be on the road. This was deferred from last year, and like I said, it would probably be ready available upon, I would say within 6 months of having the funds available if it was a project, and so this is used every day by our engineers on various projects, inspections, but also in the snow clearing efforts.
Christine, so all these trucks have radios and most likely emergency lighting and things like that. Is that all in the cost that's here?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, so we don't really use the radios as much in these. We have, I don't know if we have a radio in this vehicle. So all of our highway trucks, but here, a lot of times they communicate with cell phones too. But
Okay.
Here, we would have that cost included in this as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I think what is included in this cost is the plow too, because there is a cost. So that's built into this $90,000 number. So Main Street roadway and traffic calming improvements. So looking at some of our upcoming sidewalk projects as we rehabilitate some roadways and also add some new sidewalks in alignment with our sidewalk master plan. One roadway segment is Main Street between School Street and Groton Road. We have already started a design to evaluate Main Street and propose recommendations. We just received a draft report with some costing information, and now this is, I guess, what we see is a request, likely a 3-phase project, just because of the magnitude. Main Street, as you can see from the roadway, the roadway is deteriorated, but also there's a history of roadway vehicle accidents, both at various points along Main Street, particularly School Street, and a couple other points. There's also been some pedestrian incidents, pedestrians hit at School Street only just last year. We've had speed issues here. So really, as part of this assessment, it's looking at ways that we can obviously redo the roadway, but also provide some additional traffic calming opportunities and creating a continuous sidewalk along Main Street. the 3 phases would be, so School Street would be one phase, and then somewhere between that would be the second phase, and the third phase would be Groton Road. What we haven't decided yet is which side do we start on. One side has probably a more challenging permitting effort, and the other side might have a easement taking effort. So we're still looking at that. We're still very early in this. We just received the report. We also want to receive the public's input, so we'll be receiving that input this winter. But we would advance that first phase, whichever phase it is. What happens is each phase happens to be about $500,000. So no matter where we start, we'd probably be spending the same amount of money. And then we could potentially start this project as early as next fall. And this is a separate request from our roadway pro because it's just such a large request. This next request is Turnpike Road Sidewalk and Pedestrian Bridge Construction Phase 2. We are currently, through the Complete Streets $500,000 grant, complete constructing sidewalk on Turnpike Road between Warren Ave and coming from Warren Ave down about 1,100 feet, ending just at 10 Industrial Ave. Our plan is to continue that towards Billricker Road. We stopped because at River Meadow, there's a crossing at River Meadow that really is a bridge construction, a pedestrian bridge construction required, which has to meet permitting requirements. So when you construct a bridge now over, or a sidewalk over a brook or a river, it has a lot more requirements in terms of stream crossing standards or the construction of a bridge. That cost is approximately, the second phase is about $1 million. Our first phase is just under $500,000. This next phase includes the primarily costs associated with the $1 million is associated with this bridge, but then there's also connecting from 10 Industrial Ave to Billricker Road, which is 1,300 linear feet. And this is part of our sidewalk master plan too, as we build out the new sidewalk segments.
So this would cover the environmental permitting for the bridge itself, and the sidewalk to complete
Yes.
the project that was already started.
Yes, we do need to go back. There is still a permitting challenge, so we've already gone through permitting, and we have to show that there's flood mitigation, or I guess where we're building the bridge, we have to offset the elevations. We will have to ask a waiver from DEP because we have not been able to find any location. We have asked National Grid if we could have that mitigation be done in our property, but their easement, and they have indicated that they wouldn't allow it. So I guess the next step would be go back to Conservation Commission and with DEP and ask for an official waiver, say we've tried everything. All right, the next project is Town Common walkway replacement and ADA improvements. This is a picture of the walkway area within the Town Common. It is not ADA compliant. We do go annually for a few times a year, walking the area to see what needs to be patched. It's cracked, there's spalling. You continue to patch it, but in trying to upgrade some of the ADA, bring some of our walkways or open space areas to be ADA compliant. This is one area that we've identified. We do this before it gets very busy with all the festivals, but I guess it's at a point where it probably needs to be replaced. We would propose to install this with a new stamped concrete as opposed to asphalt. And one thing, I guess, we would be designing this in-house, so there'd be some savings by doing this in-house as opposed to sending out for design.
This would be the entire walkway all the way around?
All the way around, yes. And Yeah, this is the facilities vehicle. Let me just pull it out of the facility. So this is a DPW Facilities Division vehicle that is right now used by the town plumber, 2010 utility van. It is, used daily by our town plumber. The mileage on the van is approximately 98,000 miles. More repairs. So when we look at in our operations budget, when we look at repairs, we've had more repairs in the facilities division, and part of this has been some of these. We have a plumbing van and electrician's van that we're looking to replace next year. And there's also, again, rot to the body and frame, or to the frame of the vehicle. It is recommended by our lead mechanic to be replaced. It would be through municipal bid. We would not salvage this and keep it. We did also, I know, like in trying to look at upgrading with electric vehicles, there's very limited options in terms of electric vans. Ram's the only version. That's about $64,000. This is where the quote we received, $48,000. And also the payload, there's a greater payload ability with this going with a gas van. There really isn't a hybrid option. We also do not have a charging fleet available at facility shop. No, it's only, it drives around each day. So the need here is to replace it with a gas vehicle.
Did we miss project 18?
Oh, we skipped that. That was the cemetery.
Okay, the
Yeah.
same one, okay, gotcha.
All right, so town office restrooms, the town office restrooms on this floor right here, they are severe aged to when the last renovation was done, I think maybe in the 80s. They do not have any low water fixtures. Also, in terms of ADA compliance, there's a need to upgrade to make sure the restrooms are conform with ADA compliance. Through ARPA, we have started design of all restrooms in this building, and we received funding for 2 sets of bathrooms last year. That's about to go to bid soon. That will be for the basement bathrooms. The next, we could move up, but I was proposing this floor just because also we have town office elevators that would be proposed for next year. So you could potentially, when the town office elevators are being redone, there'll be less people on this floor, so it'd be a good time to also upgrade the bathrooms. But this will be really a full interior renovation, so new flooring, new ceiling, new freshly painted walls, new stalls, new fixtures, and we have advanced design of this to probably about just before probably 90% set. But we're holding on any future phases of construction until we receive funding. We will move forward with the basement bathrooms, though.
So were there 2 on this floor too?
Yeah, 2 on this floor. These are larger than the 2 on the bottom. So this is the largest cost, the $290. Honestly, when we originally proposed this project, we had smaller budgets, and this is reflective of the latest construction estimates. It's quite costly. It's almost $1,000 a square foot.
Is there enough facilities in the building? Enough bathrooms?
I believe so.
Per
That was
code?
part of the assessment, so I believe it is because it's based on the employees
Oh,
in the building, the
right.
count. So yes.
Okay.
And the last one is for the municipal side is the town office elevators. So this is we receive funding through FY25 capital to do this project. We're pairing this project with the senior center elevator project. We have gone through a level of effort, I'd say probably 60% design. And with that latest cost estimate too, we're projecting additional funds being needed. It is, I guess, primarily based on the amount of scope. As you might recall, at a recent, I think it was June, it was a special town meeting, we did ask for additional funding for the elevators for the school projects. Elevator projects are coming in above, where we had originally estimated a year ago. That bid for the elevators did come in, and it was within our budget, which is great. this request here is for an additional $325,000. We had $480,000. It is a lot of these requirements to meet the new stretch code requirements. You have to have additional ventilation. You have to have new heating. You have to have cooling requirements in the elevator machine room, which we do not have, so we'll have to install that. And also, the building electrical system cannot handle this new elevator going in. So there's about $100,000 just in upgrades to our electrical infrastructure for this project. So that was unanticipated, and this really is necessary to replace the elevator.
Okay, if there's no questions on that, I'm going to ask Director Clancy to go back to, we're going to go back to projects 1 through 5, which are library and police related, because they're facilities related this year, so let's go back to those.
I'll let Leslie kick this off with our first project. Yes, we have 3 for the library tonight, and I'll let you start if you want to start. This is the Adams Library roof replacement.
And then you can have a drink of water. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much. I want to actually start off by saying thank you to Christine and her team. There's been a lot happening at the library, which I think everybody knows, with our parking lot project this year, the front stairs, the chimney on the old building that's being replaced. Those are some projects that have been out there. And Christine and her team's just been doing so much work getting those done, and it's nice to see the progress that has happened as well, moving forward to some of these projects that we've been building up to. So I'm mainly going to speak to the reasons why these things impact people using the library, and Christine can answer any of your materials and engineering questions that I definitely can. So the roof, as we know, it's on the roofing schedule from DPW. I want to say that we don't have any known active leaks right now, which of course is great. But we know that if we do have a failure on that, the contents of the library, of course there's not something exact, but right now on the insurance for the town, the contents of the library are about $700,000. So should something happen, we can be sure that there's going to be an additional cost there that's hard to guess at. We have about 175,000 visitors to that main library every year. A lot of vulnerable populations, as you know. We're a cooling and warming center. So, should we have a failure on part of the roof, we're certainly going to need to close at least part of the building, if not the whole building. So that would have a huge impact as well. And from an energy efficiency standpoint, that this involves the solar panels that are 20 years old. They're old. Those would have to come down and be replaced, but we should see quite a significant difference in what we're able to do with that from an energy efficiency standpoint. Want to speak to that?
Sure, just to add to this project, so this annually we do a roof assessment of all of our municipal and school roofs, and what that does is gives an update of what what are we looking for years of remaining life for the roof system, if there's any options for remedial repairs. Really, though, what they recommend for how much years left do you have. So this roof, annually with this 2025 report, it's estimated that we have 0 to 1 years left on this roof. And as you'll see, I know next week we can talk to the schools. We're approaching a time where we have many roof requests. Right now, we're bidding for the Southward Roof Project with the MSBA. So we have millions of dollars of roof needs over the next few years, just given the age of our roofs, and so they all were probably replaced around the same time, and they're all now due for replacement at the same time. And so we have a 16,000 square foot asphalt shingle roof. We also have just below the solar panels, you have about just over 3,000 square feet of single-ply EPDM. There are no current active leaks, but there are, from the roof report, there's we have, as you can see, it's hard to maybe see in this picture, but that picture is directly taken from the ARM report, and the numbers reference, a defect on the roof. And so sometimes it's, it could be more of an O&M, but a lot of these defects reference the, significant granular loss. There's missing shingles. And so really, I mean, from this report, there's only 0 to 1 years left. So that's why we're proposing for a replacement this year. And with that, the solar panels are, I think, 15 to 20 years old. So when we put on a new roof, we want new solar, so that the next time when we're replacing a new roof, there's new solar. They both, in new roofs, what we're seeing, new roof warranties are closer to 30 years. This roof system is 20, 25, 24 years old.
They said there's no current leaks. It has a history of leaking. This
So there's no current leaks. There was one notice in the report, and also this area does not include the dome. So we recently just did some sealing around the dome area. I know we had some leaks probably a few years back, but we've sealed that area. That's the original part of the library. It's really this larger area that's really the focus of the picture here. There's no current leaks. There was one note in the report that there was potentially some deteriorated plywood below it, so it's potentially, there's no active leaks coming into the library, but there's potentially one spot that might have some leaking below the shingles.
I think you clarified this, but it's all of the roof with the exception of the slate roof and the copper dome,
Correct.
right?
Yes. And not the carriage house, which is off in
And
the
not the
picture.
yes.
So yeah, it's really if I just look, it's all of this and all of that.
Pretty much everything that was part
It's
of,
not this and it's not the carriage house.
part of the addition,
Yes.
which is no longer new.
No.
The new library?
Yes.
So would we, during the planning and engineering phase, do we have a criteria that we specify? Or do we rely on a consultant to specify? In as much as, are we specifying a 30-year shingle? Are we asking for weather shield 3 feet up, 6 feet up, 9, the whole roof? How do we go about providing the specifications for something
So
like
we
this?
hire a designer to basically put together a design, and also any new roofs have to meet the stretch code. So there's new insulation requirements as well. But I guess we do a 30-year roof warranty is what we've been doing in all of our recent requirements. So we basically write the scope for the consultant to respond to and design.
Okay, and since we would expect some plywood replacement, is there contingency included in these budgets?
Well, so part of the consultant, they would do some test cuts probably to verify that. So that would be part of the design, and then we would verify that. So this contingency, I think this might also, the pricing seems to be the pricing of our South Door roof is, I think it's like $85 a square foot, and some of our pricing from our AM report was significant. So this pricing is reflective of the best cost information we have, and I think there is definitely contingency built in there. I am hopeful so what I'm hearing too is that some of these roof projects are coming in under budget, like some school roof projects even $1 million under. So I'm really looking forward to, with this first wave of roof projects, to get some good numbers, to really refine our numbers, because if you carry $35 a square foot versus $85, that's a huge spread. And depending on who you ask, there's different recommendations. So this right here, I think I carried $50 or $45 or $50 a square foot. So I would say it had some contingencies baked in it, but there'll be a cost estimate developed as part of the process as well.
And based on the design process, when would the construction actually occur if this gets
So if this is
funded?
funded, if this is funded April, we would design it next summer, and I guess if there, it could potentially, it's a pretty straightforward project, potentially it could be next fall, but it'd probably be the following spring. Also, and we'll be talking about the HVAC, you know, if with the new HVAC, if there's any new HVAC penetrations or any, then that could also be part of that project, or, you know, coordinated, as early as next fall, but also potentially the spring of 2027. And the next project is also for the Adams Library HVAC replacement. And going back to FY '25 and FY '26 capital, we have allocated some funds to advance the HVAC design of this. We have completed a design of, schematic design to really estimate the level of cost to complete the project, and also include a small contingency in that. With the estimates we received, now we're estimating that if you look at the over on the right, the total cost to replace this HVAC is $1.8 million. All equipment from the schematic, from the report, all equipment is proposed to be replaced. It says 2000, but it's actually 26 years old from the original building renovation. There are 3 air handler units in the ceiling and then difficult to access. So as part of that recommendation is that we need to provide improved access to those new units. 2 of them are proposed to be replaced in kind, but also build some ladder access, or basic catwalk or access to those 2 units. And then one of the air handler units that is in the ceiling is really very difficult to access. So the recommendation is to basically build a new mechanical room for that unit to access, which is currently proposed kind of close between the children's area and the one of the meeting rooms. Let's see, yeah, I mean, really, and it's every component is proposed for replacement, so including the heating system, which is a gas-fired heating system that's proposed to be replaced as well. As far as timeline, we are advancing design of this, and so we'll advance design and construction potentially will be next year.
So this includes everything but, say, the ductwork?
This includes the ductwork.
Oh, this includes ductwork
Yeah, so this
as
is
well.
basically a full design, yes, all the ductwork in between the air handler units, everything. So this is a full new mechanical room, this is everything. And I will say, from the estimates we received, they were a little below, but we added a contingency as well for that. So everything.
I would assume a project like this would have to be phased just because of the invasiveness of replacing ductwork and all of
We'll
that.
have to look at that, yes. And I guess you also trigger OPM, so yeah, well, yes, we'll have to figure that phase out. So we haven't advanced that yet, because yes, there's 2 air handler units, and then the building of the mechanical room could be a separate phase.
Okay.
And sorry, I don't know if you had anything to add to that, or no?
I mean, you have all heard about this project the past couple of years, just in sort of relation to what Christine said too about the increasing costs. We paid almost $5,000 in replacing refrigerant this year, and if we add up the cost for Kevin Grant to come in and fix things, I wouldn't even want to say it. I would say in FY '26, just to date, we've spent about $10,000 in repairs, refrigerant, and we're only a few months into the year, so this would make a big difference.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have our HVAC technician in-house, because if we didn't have him, there'd be a lot of calls to an outside vendor.
Have we contemplated heat pump?
So that was when we had the schematic, we said, look at all options, and I think, so that really was the recommendation in the report. They didn't.
Was that due to cost, or?
I'd have to go back and look at it, but I think given it was more, I think, but they're saying in kind, it would be the most inexpensive. And the last library request is for the McKay Library. So in FY '23 through capital and free cash, we did have $130,000 allocated to masonry repairs at the Adams Library, which is currently underway, to the front stairs and to the chimney. And also we had put this in here as well as really improvement to the accessibility. This is the rear of the McKay building is is the ADA accessible. That ramp needs to be improved really to be ADA compliant, and is deteriorated. And then looking at the rear of the building, the door needs replacement, but then looking further, it was really the whole backside has a lot of rot, and so it needs replacement. So I guess there's twofold as to why this is a request today, is that costs have increased over time. The original estimates that we had before FY '23, I think were about $60,000, $70,000, and now when we bid the masonry for the stairs and the chimney, that bid came in at $119,000. So really, almost all of the funds went to the Adams Library. We still have to complete this project. And also the scope of this work increased. Originally it was a ramp replacement and then just replacing the door. And now when you look at the rear of the building, it's really a lot has to be done to replace the rot at the back of the building. This is something that would probably, we are advancing design of this, because we know it has to be done, but this is something that could potentially be done next summer. If there's anything else to add?
Yeah, I'll just say a couple of impact things. As Christine said, this is something, we started this conversation about the rear entrance, I think, and about for FY '23, recognizing that there was an issue with McKay reopening at that time, and we've only seen an increase in use. Our visits there are up more than 30% since we reopened, and I expect that this year we'll end up having about 4,000 people visiting McKay. And we certainly see, because the front entrance of McKay, not only does it not have a ramp, it doesn't have an automatic door, and the door is actually quite heavy and sticky. So this accessible entrance gets a lot of use by many people, who aren't necessarily, completely physically disabled, but for whom there is a barrier to access to come through the front door. As Christine said, some of the other things that are impacted by this, the rear wall, we've had some holes actually in the wall itself and had some friendly critters visiting, which is nice if that's a planned library program, but it's less nice when they're just getting in there. And so we see a little bit of damage, hygiene concerns there. And then we know that anytime there's water getting in anywhere, we're looking at, is there mold in there? And mold and water and library books definitely don't go together. This is something the Board of Library Trustees has been, discussing. As we said, this has been on the list of things we know needs to be done. And also just looking at the challenge that the Capital Committee is facing this year with more than $9 million in projects and, a target of around $6 million. This is something that, if it seems like in order to move forward the most number of projects that you can, that this is something that the Board of Library Trustees would be able to dedicate some state aid funds to, and also we're willing to look into grants as well. But it definitely is an immediate need in order for people to continue using the building.
Can I ask one more question, Christine? Sure. Is our building department okay with that ramp being in the location that it is, if we replace it? And the reason I ask that is just my understanding of ADA is that you can't segregate or ask somebody that needs to use that ramp to go in a separate entrance or provide a different way in. Typically, I know when I do projects like this, we're required to look at, bringing them in the main entrance and that type thing. Has there been discussion of that, or has Jose looked at this or said, yeah, you're okay, or?
This is going back a couple of years ago, so I mean, I could have a follow-up conversation with them. This is also closest to, I know as far as where the parking lot is, this is actually the closest accessible location. We did talk about looking at a ramp in the front, and it would completely change we'd have to, it'd be a significant project in the front. And we'd have to think about how they get to that area as well. So we can explore it, but at least when I believe our facilities manager, Matt Schweitzer, had talked to Jose about it, and so this is, I guess, the first I'm hearing about it. So, I mean, unless you made this the main, I guess we'd have to explore that. The front is a nice entrance. It's just, a lot of people use this entrance. This is the closest point to the parking lot.
And I believe it's in his discretion to, provide a waiver for that, but I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, it's a good, thank you. We'll talk to him about it. This just we thought about that when we recently were out there. It would really, it would completely change the look of it coming off of Newfield Street. It'll be a lot more costly, and this just makes sense as the most accessible entrance. But we'll follow up with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This one, so this is going to be easy. I want to defer this so I made your decision easier. I mean, I guess this is so we have so many roof needs, and so this was on here as a FY25 request when we put together the budget last year. I spent a lot of time when we prepared this year's budget to say, what do we really need, and the cost too, because at $110,000 is probably closer to 360. That's the thing, is some of the cost information we had was not reflective of the MSBA project we're doing or some of the other roof projects. So we have refined and updated roof cost number. Unfortunately, that makes our roof program so many more millions of dollars than we had thought of a few years ago. So this is actually closer to 110,000. So I'm proposing to move it out to, I think it's FY
2030, I believe.
2030 or 29. I forget what year it is. And it's really because I'm looking at our roof assessment report that says what roofs have 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3 years left. This roof, I mean, as much as we need to replace it, it still has 1 to 3 years left of it. So and we are going to circle back on this just to see if there's any remedial work we can do just to make sure there's no active leaks. We do evaluate this annually, so if for some reason this shifts to be a need, we'll propose that next year. But as for now, we're looking to just defer this. So.
Given all the needs, that's welcome news.
Good news. The next request for the police station is the HVAC improvements phase. I call it phase 1 just because it might be phase, again, given the level, this, again, similar to the library. When this building went in 2002, all the HVAC infrastructure units that's original to the building. And so we did complete an assessment through the use of ARPA funds, and that report does recommend that everything, including the piping, needs to be replaced. Everything is beyond its useful life. We have had outages, especially with the AC. This is a critical facility running 24/7. We have brought in, units sometimes, temp units to provide AC. We have a lot of maintenance needs to this facility. Also, going back a couple of years through FY25 capital, we had the ventilation improvements to the firearms area was awarded in the amount of $150,000. As part of this assessment, we've advanced design of that project, and that project is estimated to cost about $250,000 to $300,000. So what the proposal is, we would move forward and design the overall project, including the firearms. We would do that initial phase, and then we would complete a second phase in FY28. So we'll be back asking for additional funds, probably in FY28.
Same thing here, in-kind replacement, we gas.
That's what it's saying right now, in kind. That's what, yes. And so that report that was done, yes. Gas.
That, I believe, is, that's the last municipal facilities project that we have this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, if any members have questions or discussion on anything we've heard, you're welcome to make comments.
It's a broader question. What are we looking at for a bottom line number?
Due to financial constraints, it's going to be similar to last year. It'll be around 6 million.
And any recaptured?
Actually, our town accountant, Darlene Lucier, is working on that, so we
Okay.
should have that for you for the next meeting. And then we'll have, Gail will give us a better idea what we have for
Right.
basically your recapture funds. And for those that, those are prior year projects that have been completed where we may have a surplus balance. It's usually small amounts in most cases, but that allows us to reuse those funds for other capital projects. So that brings us to the next phase is minutes. I did want to just explain, so on the agenda, the minutes, because this committee meets seasonally, you'll often see older minutes that are being approved. The November 14th, 2024 meeting, we did approve, the committee approved those minutes when I did further research at the November 21st meeting last year. So we have two sets of minutes. Because we've had some turnover in the committee, and I believe we only have about 3 members that had served on that committee, what we're going to do is just publicly present them, but we won't take a vote, because just where we have some newer members or some of the members have moved on. So those are the minutes from the November 21st, 2024 meeting, as well as December 5th of 2024. So if anyone sees any from the members that were there at that time, if you see any typos or things, anything that looks incorrect, please let me know. And if not, I will present those to the town clerk's office to be posted.
They look good.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to our public comments. Would anybody like to make comments this evening from the public? Okay, not seeing any. I did want to mention, so our next meeting date is next week on November 19th, and we usually try to meet on the same day. This is kind of an unusual year due to conflicts with other public meetings, so next week, just mark your calendar. It's actually a Wednesday, so we will not be meeting, we'll be meeting on Wednesday, November 19th, so just to keep that in mind.
6
And-
p.m.?
6 p.m., and I will be sending out some more materials. I'll be sending out Director Clancy provided me with a priority list, and then you should have received a memo from me with all the other materials from Dr. Lang as far as his priorities. Actually, excuse me, he gave me a memo of all the projects he's going to be presenting to the school committee, and they're going to look at that on November 18th, so he'll let me know right after that, and then I'll get that out to the committee. So that's kind of the timeline. If anybody has anything they want to bring up or anything, no? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Sure.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Adjourn till November 19th. Thank